Okay, now we're going to be on part 2 of our questions. We're going to start with document B. So basically, look at this picture right here. This is George Washington presenting Congressional Committee to soldiers at Valley Forge. So here's George Washington right in the middle. So let's answer some questions. In what year is this engraving done? If you look right here, up here, it says right here, 1866. So we'd put 1866 right here. Who are the men to the left? So here's George Washington, and here's to the left. So the people at the left were the Committee of Continental Congress. So this right here is the Continental Congress. To the right of them are the upset Continental Army. And in the middle, like I said, is George Washington. What do you suppose the man in the middle is saying? So George Washington is saying something like this. These brave men are men fighting for our nation's independence need your help. So right here you see these people fighting need Continental Congress's help. So the next one, how could this document be used for argue for quitting? So a reason we could do this would be go on that bucket page again. A reason they might want to quit would be the generals on our side. So George Washington is on our side, and there's hope Congress. Well, it is coal. Okay, sorry, let me backtrack. Number 4, how could this document be used for arguing for quitting? It is cold, men are bare feet. As you can see, they have no feet right here. And the congressmen are overdressed. So these guys have ratty clothes, they're tattered, they're freezing, they're getting sick, while these guys are all dressed. So that could be a reason for quitting. A reason for staying is General Washington is on our side. So their general is on their side. And there's hope Congress will do more. So he's presenting to Congress and he wants them to do more. Congressmen might be working on the side with Washington. So that could be the reason for. So those are 2 reasons we could add to our bucket list at the beginning of the page. Document C. I'm going to read these 2 passages. December 14th, 1777. The Army, which has been surprisingly healthy in here too, now begins to grow sickly from the continued fatigues that they have suffered this campaign. Yet they still show a spirit of alacrity, cheerful willingness, and contentment not to be expected from so young troops. I am sick, discontented, and out of humor. Poor food, hard lodging, cold weather, fatigue, nasty clothes, nasty cookery, vomit half my time, smoked out my senses, the devil isn't, I can't endure it. Why are we sent here to starve and freeze? Here comes a soldier, his bare feet are seen through his worn out shoes, his legs nearly naked from the tattered remains of an old pair of stockings. So let me help you out this. This is kind of harder. It's written in a little bit older form. So here's some reasons why they might want to leave Valley Forge. Cold weather right here. Fatigue. Nasty clothes. They don't have food, so nasty food. You have poor living conditions. You have vomit half the time. You have stuff that is smoking in your house. So you got smoked in your house. You don't have any ventilation. So the big things are they don't have food. They got poor weather. They're cold. They're hungry. They don't have a comfortable place to sleep in because there's smoke everywhere. They don't have any shoes to walk in. So now here's another article. December 21st, 1777. Hereby wish myself at home. My skin and eyes are almost spoiled with continued smoke. A general cry through the camp this evening among the soldiers. No meat, no meat. The distant values echoed back melancholy sound. No meat, no meat. So here's the questions that go with this. Do you believe this document is an accurate picture of camp life at Valley Forge? Why? Yes, cross-reference is a test for accuracy. The huts did not have windows and poor ventilation. So if you look right here, we look at some of the other readings we talked about. They talked about the food. They talked about the poor ventilation. This kind of goes with the other one. So you could use both this and the other article to cross-reference to get accurate data. Question 2. What hardships described by Waldo most gets your attention? So here, remember we talked about those things like it could be benefit, you could have holes in your feet. The few that we talked about were uh, the meat, the lack of food, the poor living conditions, all the ones right up here that we talked about. Cold weather, fatigue, nasty clothes, nasty food, it's cold, smoky senses, there's no meat right here. You could use any one of those. Number 3, make one inference about the quality of ventilation in the soldiers' huts. We talked about this already. It's kind of, ventilation must have been poor. Smoke was completely like inside the huts, and it was in each of the documents, several documents. Question 4, how could this document be used to argue for quitting? As you can see, it was the beginning of winter, smoky huts, tattered clothes, and no meat. Is there a way this document could be used to argue against quitting? Well, at one point, soldiers are amazingly positive. I'm proud to serve with these men. So basically, they would be for serving with together and all that other stuff. Okay, our last document we're going to cover today will be document D. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldiers and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country, but he that stands it now deserves the love and thank of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet we have this consultation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives every single thing its values. Britain, with an army to enforce her tyranny, has declared that she has a right, not only to tax, but to bind us all in cases whatsoever. And if being bound in that manner is not slavery, then is there such a thing as slavery upon earth? Let's read through these questions. There's a lot of questions to go with this. When was this document written, and who was the author? So when we find that, we see it 1776 Thomas Paine. When you go back up here, you see it right here. Thomas Paine is the source, and they wrote it December 1776. What is meant by the line, these are the times that try men's souls? Here's kind of what that means. It means it is a tough conditions like those at Valley Forge, and they test our basic beliefs and togetherness. So if you can really stick together, it will get through these hard times. Who are the summer soldiers and the sunshine patriots? These guys were the people who only support the cause when it's going well. So they believe, oh, things are going well, I'm going to support them. But if things start going bad, then they might not support that area. Question 4. What is tyranny, and what does Paine compare it to? Tyranny is a rule by a dictator, such as a king or a queen who has all the power, and he compared that to hell. Question 5. What does Paine mean when he writes, what we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly? We don't value what we don't pay for, what we don't pay or suffer for. So we have to fight for something we really believe in. So it's important these soldiers believe in the freedom. They want this to happen. It would support their belief to fight and to be willing to bear with these poor conditions. If they believe for the righteous cause, then they're going to do it. They're going to battle more for that. Question 6. What is the main idea of this document? The main idea is don't be a summer soldier. When there are tough times, keep going and fight for your freedom. And the last question here is 7. Are the words of Thomas Paine enough to keep you at Valley Forge? Now this is an opinion question. You either got to put yes, I believe Thomas Paine's words were enough to keep me at Valley Forge, or no. And then you got to give a reason. I believe this because, or I don't believe this because. It's your opinion. And the last page today, we're going to talk about bucketing, getting ready to write. So now we got all this data, we got all these documents. How are we going to put this together? So the first thing, bucketing. Look over all the documents and organize them into final buckets. Write final bucket labels under each bucket and place the letters of the document in the buckets where they belong. It's legal to put a document in more than one bucket. So here's what I would put. Reasons to quit. These are the articles that have specific examples in them. There were A, B, and C. They all have reasons to quit. Reasons to stay at Valley Forge and fight. Document A, B, and D had those in. And now you've got to give a reason. I want you to find a reason from each of these things. One reason to re-enlist, to stay, to fight the war, or one reason to quit. So if you're not sure where those are at, remember you can go back in this podcast or screencast, and you can also go back to these documents. Reasons for quitting, once again. A, B, C, look at those documents. Reasons for staying, look at A, B, and D. Thesis development and roadmap. On the chicken foot below, write your thesis and your roadmap. Your thesis is always an opinion and answers the mini-Q questions. The roadmap creates it from your bucket labels and lists the topic areas you will examine in order to prove your thesis. So here's your thesis right here. I will re-enlist. And you'll describe 3 reasons for re-enlisting or 3 reasons for quitting. That's what you can choose. I would re-enlist, or I would quit. You could put, for an example, I would quit because of the 3 reasons. These 3 reasons would be poor living conditions, lack of food, poor clothing, no support from the other generals. So these are the cause of death, sickness. Those are all reasons. So pick your one, and you can write it on there. And then you're going to put, I'm going to enlist for 3 reasons down here, or I'm going to quit for 3 reasons, and you're going to list them. We are not a nation of summer soldiers. Could be an example. The Committee of Congress gives me hope. There could be another reason. Sick men and dead men mean well, but the men must fight. So here are the reasons. So we got to fill that in, and those are many different things. So remember, these are going to be right here where I'm pointing are the 3 reasons you stay or go or not re-enlist. So remember, it's quitting the Army or not quitting. Thank you for following along. Hope this helps.